Do you remember the faces that haunted you in The Passion of the Christ? The film wasn't just a movie, it was an experience that branded itself into our minds. From the shocking brutality of the crucifixion to the quiet, devastating glances of Mary, every frame felt more real than cinema had a right to be. But behind this masterpiece lies another story, one even more fascinating. What happened to the people who carried those roles? How did it feel to become, even for a moment, the face of ultimate good or chilling evil? And what about those unsettling details, like the pale figure of Satan, or that disturbing child that seemed to mock everything holy? Today we dive deep into the untold stories of the actors who gave life to unforgettable characters, and the secrets of the film that still provoke debate. From transformations that changed faith forever, to careers that never recovered, and to one actress who embodied evil so convincingly it made millions shudder. Stay with me until the end, because the last story, the man who became Jesus, will leave you speechless. Section 1. Rosalinda Celentano, living after playing the devil. When you think about the Passion of the Christ, one image refuses to leave the mind. That cold, almost serene figure of Satan moving through the chaos, holding a grotesque child with an adult-like face. It's cinematic horror wrapped in theology, a moment so chilling that millions of viewers looked away. But behind that haunting portrayal was Rosalinda Celentano, an Italian actress who never intended to become a symbol of evil. When Mel Gibson cast her as Satan, he made a deliberate choice. He didn't want a roaring demon with horns. He wanted something subtle, seductive, and deeply unsettling. Rosalinda shaved her head, painted her face pale, and embraced an androgynous presence that blurred the line between male and female. Audiences were fascinated, and critics called her performance terrifying in its elegance. But while the role was unforgettable for us, what happened to Rosalinda afterward tells a story that few know. A story of silence, struggle, and survival. Rosalinda admitted later that playing Satan wasn't just acting, it was psychologically heavy. "You try to keep it professional," she once said in an Italian interview, "but evil is a strange thing to carry with you." After the cameras stopped rolling, she described feeling empty, drained. The aura of darkness she embodied for months didn't disappear overnight. Soon after the film's release, Rosalinda began retreating from the spotlight. While some expected her career to explode internationally, the opposite happened. She turned inward. For years, she focused on painting and poetry instead of chasing roles. Friends revealed that she faced battles with depression during this period, a struggle she herself hinted at by saying, "I had to find light again." It wasn't just the mental toll. In the following decade, she also fought health challenges, though she kept details private. Unlike many co-stars who went on to Hollywood, Rosalinda chose a quieter path. She appeared occasionally in Italian films, but never sought fame again. As of 2025, Rosalinda Celentano is 58. She still lives in Italy, where she divides her time between acting in selective art house projects and working as a painter. In recent years, she has become an advocate for mental health awareness, giving rare interviews where she speaks about the importance of healing after intense roles. When asked about the Passion of the Christ, she doesn't deny its impact. "It was beautiful and it was dark. Playing that role changed me. It made me ask questions about good, evil, and myself." Why did this role stay with her so deeply? Perhaps because of what Satan represents, a mirror of temptation and brokenness. Some psychologists argue that method-style immersion in such roles can leave lingering effects, especially when combined with long, grueling shoots. And Rosalinda lived that reality. Months of embodying a presence that whispers instead of screams, that mocks innocence instead of destroying it outright. The irony? The role meant to terrify others ended up reshaping her own life. Today, Rosalinda calls herself spiritual, but not defined by religion. Her art reflects themes of light breaking through darkness, a quiet testimony, perhaps, that she found her way back. But while Satan left a scar, other actors found something entirely different. For some, the film sparked faith. For others, it tested it to the breaking point. And for two women who walked on that same blood-stained set, their journey was marked by transformation of a different kind, one born of compassion and silence. Next, let's meet Monica Bellucci and Maya Morgenstern, two actresses who carried the weight of grace and grief in front of the world, and what became of them after the cameras stopped rolling. Section 2. Monica Bellucci, from icon to pilgrim of sorrow. When Mel Gibson announced that Monica Bellucci, one of Europe's most famous sex symbols, would play Mary Magdalene, the media erupted. Could the woman known for glamorous roles in Milena and The Matrix Reloaded really become the repentant follower of Jesus? Monica didn't flinch. She dove into the role, learning Aramaic and Latin, stripping away vanity, and delivering a performance that was almost wordless yet profoundly human. But behind the camera, the experience wasn't just another acting job. In interviews, Monica admitted that the film forced her to confront questions of faith. It was more than cinema. It was spiritual. On set, she was often seen in moments of quiet reflection after intense scenes. So what happened after the spotlight faded? Surprisingly, Monica didn't lean into religious films. Instead, she returned to European cinema, but with a noticeable shift in tone, choosing deeper, more complex characters rather than purely sensual ones. She told an Italian magazine, "I wanted roles with a soul." In her personal life, Monica went through public changes: her divorce from actor Vincent Cassel, the challenges of motherhood, and the pressure of fame. Yet she often credits the passion for teaching her the value of humility. When you stand in that story, you understand suffering in a new way. Now, in 2025, Monica is 60 and still active in film, but her interviews carry a calmness that contrasts with her early career persona. There are rumors she might return for the resurrection of the Christ, though nothing is confirmed. If she does, it would close a circle on one of the most transformative roles of her life. Section 3. Maya Morgenstern, the silent mother who still weeps. If Monica had to shake off glamour, Maya Morgenstern carried an even heavier challenge, portraying the Virgin Mary. At 42, she was already a respected Romanian actress when Gibson discovered her, captivated by her serene intensity. On screen, she barely spoke, yet her silence screamed grief in ways words never could. But for Maya, the role came with weight beyond performance. A Jewish actress playing the most sacred figure of Christianity sparked controversy in some circles. Maya handled it with grace, saying, "I wanted to show Mary as a mother. Every mother knows what it is to suffer for a child." After the film, Maya returned to Romania, where she continued her work in theater and film, but also faced storms. In recent years, she revealed receiving threats tied to her Jewish heritage, even decades after the movie. Despite this, she stayed grounded in her art and humanitarian work, supporting cultural programs for young actors. As of 2025, Maya is 63, still commanding respect on stage and television in Romania. She is confirmed to reprise her role as Mary in the resurrection of the Christ, a decision she calls a responsibility and an honor. Her calm strength remains her signature, on screen and in life. Section 4. Cristopher Jivikov, the loyal disciple who faced his own cross. Cristopher Jivikov was just 29 when Mel Gibson cast him as John, the youngest disciple and the only one who stayed at the foot of the cross. His performance was quiet yet profound, eyes full of pain, voice almost absent, but presence unwavering. Viewers saw loyalty incarnate. Off-screen, Christo was much the same, humble, dedicated, uninterested in Hollywood glamour. After the passion of the Christ catapulted him to global attention, many expected him to chase big roles. Instead, he went home, to Europe, to independent cinema, to stories that mattered to him. But life would deal him a harsh blow. In 2023, news broke that stunned fans. Cristopher Jivikov had died at just 48 after a battle with lung cancer. His death sent ripples through the global Christian community. Social media filled with tributes, calling him John Forever. Caiaphas. Friends revealed that in his last years, Christo remained gentle and private, carrying the same quiet strength that defined his role. For many, his life mirrored John's unwavering devotion, a disciple in spirit, even when the cameras stopped rolling. Section 5. Francesco de Vito, the rock who fell and rose again. Peter is one of Scripture's most relatable figures, a man who swore loyalty, then denied his Lord 3 times. For Francesco de Vito, playing this role meant embodying raw human frailty. In that unforgettable scene of denial, his face twists through fear, shame, and heartbreak. A performance so real that many viewers wept. After the Passion, Francesco didn't become a Hollywood star. He stayed rooted in Italy, working steadily in historical dramas and faith-based projects. Interviews reveal that the role changed him, not into a preacher, but into a man more aware of his own contradictions. "Peter is all of us," he once said. "I learned that falling is human, rising again is grace." Unlike some co-stars, Francesco avoided scandal and kept his private life intact. In 2025, he is 58, still acting, still respected, and rumored to return for the resurrection of the Christ. Fans welcome this, seeing in him not just an actor, but a living reminder that faith isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. Section 6. Luca Lionello, from betrayer to believer. When Luca Lionello accepted the role of Judas, he wasn't a Christian. In fact, by his own admission, he was an atheist who saw religion as irrelevant. Playing Judas then was just another job, or so he thought. Immersing himself in the Gospels and Judas's tortured psychology changed something in him. Day after day, Luca had to step inside the mind of the man who sold Jesus for silver and then hated himself for it. It became unbearable, he later confessed. During filming, the inner conflict he acted out on screen started to feel real. By the time the film wrapped, Luca Lionello had done the unthinkable. He converted to Christianity. "Through Judas, I found Christ," he told Italian media years later. That irony wasn't lost on anyone, least of all Luca, who now speaks openly about faith at conferences and in interviews. But life after Judas wasn't easy. Playing one of history's most hated figures typecast him in the eyes of some producers. Work slowed, and he shifted towards smaller European projects. Today, at over 60, Luca is still active in film, but says his priorities have changed. Fame means nothing compared to truth. Rumors suggest he may appear in the resurrection of the Christ, a return fans would celebrate, not for Judas's sake, but for Luca's redemption arc. Section 7. Christov, the judge who couldn't wash his hands clean. Then there was Christov, the Bulgarian actor who embodied Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who declared Jesus innocent but condemned him anyway. Shopov gave Pilate a chilling humanity, a man torn between politics and conscience, trapped by fear of losing power. After the Passion, Shopov gained international recognition but chose to stay close to home, focusing on Eastern European cinema. Unlike some cast members, his life didn't spiral, but he admitted in one interview that the role left him questioning courage. What would I have done in his place? Now 63, Shopov still acts, mostly in Bulgaria, and rarely speaks of the Passion. But those who know him say the experience left him more reflective about moral compromise. An uncomfortable legacy for anyone who played the man who tried to wash away guilt with water. Section 8. Matthias Breja, the weight of religion and power. Finally, there was Matthias Breja as Caiaphas, the high priest who pushed hardest for Jesus' death. Breja, already a respected Italian actor, was praised for showing Caiaphas as more than a villain. He was a man desperate to preserve control, even at a terrible cost. After the film, Breja continued to work steadily in Italy, but stayed far from Hollywood. When asked about Caiaphas, he called the role a study in fear of losing everything. In later interviews, he spoke about the danger of power masquerading as righteousness, words that sound like a warning to every age. Section 9. Jim Caviezel, the man who became Jesus and paid the price. If any actor from the Passion of the Christ carried the weight of their role beyond the screen, it was Jim Caviezel. When Mel Gibson cast him as Jesus, Jim was 33, the same age, according to Scripture, that Christ was crucified. It felt symbolic. It also turned out to be prophetic, because the role would break his body, reshape his soul, and nearly destroy his career. From the first day on set, Jim knew this would not be an ordinary shoot. The film was brutal in its realism, and so were its demands. During the scourging scenes, a whip accidentally tore into his flesh. Carrying the heavy wooden cross dislocated his shoulder. Hours exposed on the cross under freezing rain gave him pneumonia and hypothermia. But the worst came during the crucifixion sequence when a freak lightning strike hit him. Literally. Crew members were stunned as Jim's hair lit up while he hung on the cross. Later, he would say, "I was struck by God." It wasn't hyperbole. Doctors later discovered that Jim's heart had sustained damage. He would need 2 heart surgeries in the following years. The physical suffering was only the beginning. After the Passion became a global phenomenon, earning over $600 million, many assumed Jim's career would skyrocket. Instead, doors slammed shut. He says Mel Gibson warned him, "You'll never work in this town again." Gibson was right. Jim found himself blacklisted, quietly dropped from major projects. Studios labeled him too religious, a box few actors escape. In interviews, Jim is blunt. "I lost my career for Christ." But he never wavered. Instead of compromising, he embraced roles that aligned with his faith. He starred in Paul, Apostle of Christ, 2018, and later in Sound of Freedom, 2023, a film exposing child trafficking that became an unexpected global hit. These projects restored some recognition, but in a different lane, far from Hollywood's mainstream. Today at 56, Jim Caviezel is not chasing fame. He travels the world speaking about faith, often to packed audiences. His message? Courage, sacrifice, and truth. Values he says Hollywood abandoned long ago. And now, 2 decades after the Passion, he's preparing to do the impossible, reprise the role in the resurrection of the Christ, set for 2026. When asked if he's ready, Jim gave a chilling answer. Yes, but I'm afraid, because that wasn't just a movie, it was real. His fear isn't theatrical. Those who know Jim say the first film left permanent scars, physical and emotional. But for him, this is not about acting anymore. It's about mission. I believe God called me for this, he says. Jim's story is more than Hollywood drama. It's a modern parable. In an industry obsessed with comfort and fame, he chose suffering and conviction. It cost him everything that actors dream of. And yet, he calls it worth it. For viewers, his face will always be the face of Jesus. For Jim, that's a burden and a blessing he will carry for the rest of his life. Now, as we close this journey, from Satan's whisper to Mary's tears, from Judas's betrayal to Jesus' sacrifice, one question remains. What do these stories say about us? About faith, art, and the price of truth. The Passion of the Christ was never just a film. It was an experience, a storm of pain, beauty, and faith that shook everyone who touched it. For us, it lasted 2 hours. For the actors, it lasted decades. What does this tell us? That art matters, that faith leaves marks, and that telling the greatest story ever told still costs something. So now I turn the question to you. Which story moved you most? Was it the actor who lost everything for conviction? The one who found faith through betrayal? Or the quiet artist who survived playing the devil? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this video gave you something to think about, hit like, share it with someone who loves this film, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the screen. Because some movies fade when the credits roll. The Passion of the Christ, it never did.